Hey guys, happy Saturday. It's the weekend, school's over, and welcome to summer. Welcome to the next episode of Aaron NYC Artist. My name is Aaron and I'm your host. Anyways, I know I missed a week and I apologize for that, but I just wanted to show you more content from what I was doing. Right now, I'm working on certain things here and there, making sure everything is looking good. I just finished my last day of teaching yesterday, which was Friday, and I guess I'm on summer break unless they need me to teach summer school. Anyway, so this episode is titled My Experience as a Substitute Teacher. I have to say, it was very interesting. It was a long term assignment. I was teaching 7th and 8th graders at a school in Brooklyn. And when I first was asked to teach, I didn't know what to expect. Of course, when I got there, the building was closed, and I was like, hey, what's going on? So I sent an email saying, the building was closed. What's going on? Of course, they finally got back to me saying that they actually wanted me there. Of course, it was closed due to COVID, which is understandable. And that it was so I said, okay, so we did it online, remote for a couple of weeks, and then I went into the building. I was working with two teachers. And they taught me a lot because they had more experience, and I was just there to work with one teacher, and then we had the remote teacher. The 7th and 8th graders, they've gone through this with COVID and everything, and now here I come teaching them humanities. And what I try to instill in them as an educator is just to show them, hey, there are things you need to learn, things we need to work on. I kept an open mind because I know these are kids and they're going through a hard time. But occasionally, you had to crack the whip. um, it was very interesting. Of course, my 8th graders, they were graduating this year, going on to high school. And then you have the 7th graders moving on to 8th grade. Before I forget, congratulations to all those who graduated this year. I just want to say, yes, this year has been interesting to say the least. Either you were working remotely or in blended learning, depending on where you were, either in the world or in the country. Some of you may have had a prom, some of you may not have had a prom. Don't worry. I'm pretty sure that you and your friends will catch up and then have a nice get together. I know my daughter didn't have prom, but my oldest didn't have a prom, but they did something special for them, which I think was even more something for them to remember by. For those who are graduating from college or university and are now entering the workforce, I'm going to say this. Don't get frustrated. Even though you will get frustrated due to the fact that it's a pandemic, you're trying to find something in your field. Don't get frustrated. Don't feel that, why is this happening to me? It's happening to everyone. Jobs are now starting to bring people back. I know someone who finally got into accounting, and then this whole mess happened, and he's basically starting from scratch. Stay focused. This is only temporary. You will succeed. All right? Just remember that. You will succeed. I'm in the same boat as you guys. I was finally at a job where I felt comfortable, I felt relaxed, and then this happened. It's only a bump in the road. You will find a way to succeed and make it to that next step. Now, back to my experience as a substitute teacher. It was very informative. Um, there were times where I was like, okay, this should be interesting, and there are times where I was coming home like, what's going on with these kids? I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they never really dealt with a male teacher, and I was not. I wasn't the type of teacher who was letting things slide. I was basically calling them out on their BS when it came up, and I was 100% blunt. I wasn't, I didn't baby them. If there was an issue, I listened to them. I'm like, okay, and then guide them in the right path to just say, okay, well then you want to do this. But when we finally came back into the building, and a majority of my students was showing up late, I called them out on it. I didn't care. I'm like, one student, she always came in late every day, and I was like, oh, so you're gonna take your walk of shame to your desk? And she'll look at me like, what? I said, you're late. Take your walk of shame to your desk. And some of my middle students, I'll tell them, what time does school start? And they're like, but Mr. Simon, I'm like, nah, what time school starts? You're late, so now I'm calling you out on it, and now I want to make you the star show for the next 15 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how I felt. Of course, you figured they would get the hint, like, yeah, don't be late to Mr. Simon's class, but, you know, what can you do? Talking about, oh, I overslept. Well, who's such and such when it comes to basketball? You remember that, but you can't remember to set the alarm on your cell phone, to make sure your tablet is charged when you go to school, to do your work. And we didn't even give homework. That's the funny thing. It was like, guys, just if you do your work, everything is great. But all in all, it didn't happen that way, and it's just one of those things where I finally learned that, everything's not gonna go the way you want it. Um, I did try to explain to them about there were certain things that me and my co-teachers, we were seeing, and I decided to say, you know what, let me talk to them because they know you guys well enough but they don't know me. I basically told them, and it was both 7th and 8th grade, and I said, listen, I've seen this before. I've seen this story before. I've seen this movie before. I've watched it happen and unfold. You guys are not gonna like how it ends if you don't change now. Some of them were like, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, number one, you don't know what this chancellor is gonna do. So if I was you, just do your work. Don't slack off on your work because you don't know what's gonna happen. Everyone got a free pass in last June because of this virus. It was pretty much, nobody knew anything about it. But now it's been a year. You guys have been in school working back and forth for a year. Don't think that it's gonna be lenient this year. Of course, it was, but there was nothing that could be done about it. We all talked about like, hey, this person should X, Y, and Z, but when your hands are tied, your hands are tied. And especially with my 8th graders, I basically told them when you go into high school, it's gonna be a different ball game. You have to complete X amount of credits to graduate. Something like, well, whatever. I'm like, no, you don't seem to understand. X amount of you guys have to complete an X amount of credits to graduate. If you don't complete those X amount of credits, either A, you're going to summer school, B, you're going to night school, C, you're going to be staying in there until you're 21. So do you really want to be the 21-year-old on ninth or 10th grade level? That, does anybody want to be like that? No. But of course, you got the pushback. You got those who never showed up and don't care. I had one student, some of my students, well, no, I had one student working in another state, one student who apparently was in another country, which I'm scratching my head on that one, but yet she did an assessment test and was able to finish, which I was like, okay, that's new. But like I said, it was just weird. Um, what else I was gonna say? I think the one time where I would say those two times I really had to put my foot down. One for seventh grade where the two boys were rowdy and one of them almost got hurt. Where I basically had to take the other one and pretty much read them the riot act. And then I had my eighth grader where she did something stupid early in the week. Then she did something stupid under at the end of the week, and I was there and I had to deal with her. And I basically told her about herself, and I said, in a nutshell, I says, I don't want to deal with you anymore. And you know, some people who know that story know what happened, but I'm not going to talk about it because, quite frankly, now she's in high school. But let her, you know. So with that being said, that's my experience on being a substitute teacher. Um, will I continue doing? Will I continue being a substitute teacher? I don't know. I mean, right now I'm looking for work. My field, the textile field, is starting to open up, so I'm sending out my resume. But just like everyone else, they're sending out their resume, so it's gonna be one of those. Well, do you take someone with experience or you take someone with no experience? I do know a while back I had an interview and I would have gotten it except for one slight skill I didn't have, and I'm like, well, that just sucks. But on a plus note, you know, like I said, everything's open, so I'm keeping positive thoughts, and I'm hoping to see what happens next. You know, it's the summertime, so whether I'm teaching summer school, I know I looked at New York Edge. A friend of mine, she told me what classification I needed for teaching art because I have experience, so I'm gonna look into that, and especially since she told me the price, and I was like, oh, I can swing that. That's not bad. Um, Other than that, I'll see what happens. You know, see what the wind takes me, and hopefully it directs me to where I'm supposed to be, and not where I. It's like I know where I want to be, but sometimes where you want to be isn't where you should be. Remember that. Sometimes where you want to be isn't where you should be. Sometimes the wind is pushing you in a certain way because you're supposed to be there. But you just have to wait and see. Okay, so back to the old warrior, the lady in blue. Right now, if you were paying attention while I was talking, I was working on the rocks in the background. I end up pretty much redrawing everything because I needed to make some. Sorry about that, folks. I had to take that call. It was important. Yeah. So I was making changes to the rocks because I wanted the previous rocks. It just wasn't working for me. So I sketched out some new rocks, put it in, and now that's what you're seeing here. Now the smaller rocks were from Clip Studio. It was a brush which I brushed over just to show depth and and space, and I wanted to focus more on the rocks you see in a little bit in the foreground. So, you know, I went online, I saw like references of rocks, and I even looked at what other artists were doing. And, you know, I've done this before, but I guess, you know, as you do things, you tend to forget. And I figured, you know, let me just start from here. And I was using the blender brush in Clip Studio just to blend in the dark areas. Then I would use the medium areas, and then the light areas. And sometimes it would be the light areas to the base color. So that's pretty much what I was doing here, because I figured I wanted to give The Rock some depth and just show, like, I know it didn't have to be realistic, but, for all different types of illustrators and cartoonists and whatnot, we draw things differently just to get our point across. And that's what I wanted to do, was get my point across of what I was visualizing and how it worked out in the end. Yeah, I was just taking a drink there because my voice was getting dry. Another thing was that I wanted to just play around with it. Now, granted, I didn't finish it with this episode. There is another episode I am going to put out, but I am going to add music to it, just showing you the remaining steps on what I did. And just how I got to it. Now, I don't know if I said this earlier, because of course this program crashed and I lost the second half of the audio. So if you didn't hear it in the first audio, maybe I repeated myself. Don't worry about it. I showed it to a friend of mine who was the model for the female warrior, and I showed her where I was at, and she was like, "Oh, that's cool." And I was like, "Yeah, nah, I just have to finish it." Like I said, I was hoping to finish by next week Wednesday, but Sunday, Monday, I know it's going to be 2 dead days. And then, so the minute I get up Tuesday, it's just going to be hit the payment running, getting this done, because Friday is going to be the start of the 4th of July weekend. And I know I'm not going to have time to do anything between family barbecues and everything else. I'll be knee deep in that. So if I don't finish by Wednesday, hopefully it'll be by next week, the first week of July, because I do have a schedule that I'm trying to keep, and right now it's, with life and everything else, it's kind of hard, but I can't blame what's going on, because life, I'm married, father of 2 kids, outnumbered, no sons, and with other things going on, I have to focus to make sure that one certain priority is taken care of first before I can get to this. God willing, this gives me the opportunity where I can live off this income and pay bills and make sure there's a roof over the head and food on the table and clothes on the backs and everything else, that I'll finally be able to relax. But when that happens, I'll be happy. What else? That's pretty much it when it comes to my stories as a substitute teacher and what I'm working on now. One thing I would say, the process of my shading is that I start from dark to light. Normally in a printing process, you want to go from light to dark, but in this case, I worked backwards because it actually worked out better for me in the sense. So this way I know, okay, let me put the dark down, because I know with the blender tool, I can add in the light and I can go back and forth between the dark color and the light color just to blend things out. And if I wanted to go to the base color, I know how to set it up to go to the base color. So that was what I was working on here. I was probably moving around, doing other things, looking at stuff, because I just want to get this done. I think this is the longest art piece I've ever worked on. I have to say, I've worked on this art piece for at least a month, between setting everything up, drawing it out, coloring it. This is the longest I've worked on something this long. And I'm pretty sure someone's going to say, "Hey, you could have done this in a week." And I'm like, "Oh, I could have." But, when you're working and everything else, and then you see things and you're like, "Oh, I don't like that. I want to change things up." Yeah. If there's someone who can say, "I can do better," all right, then do better, and then show me how to do it. Just don't say, "I can do better." Show me. That's how people learn. Let's see here. What's another thing? Another thing is, today was a good day for, like I said, those who listen, I take martial arts. I was at a seminar. It was awesome. Very informative. If you're in the New York City area, if you're in the New York City area, I would say go to New Breed Martial Arts Academy. That's where I train at. It's awesome. I've been there for like over 15 years. My kids are going there, and you will enjoy yourself. Another note, I recently, actually, I completed a vector art piece like months ago it was sold on Etsy. I did sell it on Etsy, but I took it off Etsy because I wanted it so that people can print it and they can get it on different media. Right now it's on ArtStation. So if you go to if you're on my YouTube page and you click at the top, you'll see the icon ArtStation. Click on that. Go to print, and you'll see the artwork. Kickboxing. It's two female ladies. Pretty much with ArtStation, it prints it out on various media. One is paper, poster, canvas, and metal. And they have various sizes. So when you click on the size, you see the size like, whoa, depending on your area space, maybe you want to make it the full wall, maybe a small area. It's up to you. I also sell stuff on Redbubble. That's more for spiral notebooks, fabrics, and greeting cards, and also sell stuff on Displate. Displate, I might switch over to just fan art, and any new art that I do, I might move over to ArtStation because I want to try to keep a separation of the two. Then again, that might change because I'm realizing like I'm working on 3 different stores, but I'm pretty sure someone's telling me you don't need to do that. But if you want to do that, that's fine. I'm new to this game, so pretty much I'm like I said, I'm in my mid 40s. I just got back into illustrating, so it's like I'm pretty sure I'm catching up. It's more of a catch up, but I'm doing fine, so I don't care. If you like where I'm going with this, leave a comment. Tell me where I'm able to improve things, what I should do, because I want to get better at this, but I need everyone's feedback on where I'm lacking. If you do like it and you want to hear how this continues, click on that subscribe button, the notification button, and please hit the like button. If you want to follow me on any other media, my Instagram is on there on the top right. Click on the Instagram, click follow, and also I have a bio and a link with other stuff. You can also find me on Facebook. That'll take you to my Facebook link also. And then like it there. Like I said, this piece is part of one of 3. Right now I'm doing the female warrior. I'm actually started sketching out the male warrior. I'm slowly working on it, so I'm trying to figure out how I want to set it up. I have an idea between 2. Of course, I'm going to talk to the boss lady, aka my wife, to see which one will probably be better, because I want to show the person's face, but maybe not showing the person's face is okay, but it's one of those wait and see. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Leave a comment. I am going to do a second part to this, but it's going to be just with music. So I'm going to I'm going to look at some music that you can listen to, that you could dance to, because quite frankly, I love to dance. And if you're watching this, I want you to be able to get up and dance. All right? So have a nice weekend. Have a good summer if you're going away. And thank you for listening. Peace. Oh, also one other thing. I will be catching up with my video games this summer, hopefully, because quite frankly, I need to catch up with my video games. Not only that, but I also bought the Mass Effect on Steam, so it's all 3. So I finally get to play the first one. So I'll see how it goes, and I'll let you know how it goes. All right? Bye.